Hi all, welcome to Tech Forum. In this video, let us deep dive into Apache Sling Dynamic Include. AEM sites contains a lot of static pages that can be cached. AEM is primarily intended for static content. Small dynamic component makes the page not cacheable in dispatcher. So let's say like we have a page, 95% of the data is static, then 5% is dynamic, means we may need to display the username, logged in username or some other dynamic data. So in that case, like the whole page, the 100% of the page can't be cached either in dispatcher or CDN. So our interest is like we want to cache almost the whole page, the 95 percentage in dispatcher, and the selected component should be included dynamically on the page load. The SDA, the Sling Dynamic Include, enables the page to be cached with some placeholder for dynamic data, it called include, that will be replaced with real content while accessing the page. So it enables the pages to be cached, the 95% of the data to be cached. Only this 5% will be loaded dynamically while loading the page. So include tag types available on different service layers between dispatcher and the client. So here this can be the tag can be processed in three layers. One is dispatcher layer or Apache layer, then CDN layer, then the browser layer. The Apache layer, the dispatcher will process the include or the placeholder and replace with the actual content. So this is called SSI, server side include. Now the second case, the CDN process the dynamic data or the placeholder and replace the data, the original data. It called the EDI, ESI, so edge site include. Now the third scenario is the browser replaces the original content through the AJAX call to the server. So this is called JavaScript include. So let's maybe we can in the demo we can see how we can enable each of the scenario, and maybe we can talk through some of the benefits and okay. So this is the flow, the Sling Dynamic Include flow. This is mainly focused on the SSI, server side include. So here we are not talking about the browser or the JavaScript include and the CDN include, ESI. Okay, here like whenever we are getting the page, the STI, the Sling and STI module replaces this component, the dynamic component with include. So here you can see this is the dynamic, the carousel.html is a dynamic component. Here it replaced with no cache.html. It means it's a server side include. It's enabled with the server side include. Now whenever there will be a subsequent request to get this data, the carousel.nohash.html from the Apache or dispatcher, so to get the original data, and it will send the complete data to the static data and this dynamic data together to the browser. So the same thing this can be from a browser in case of JavaScript include, or ESI from the CDN. So CDN or the browser will initiate the request, the second request, subsequent request to get the dynamic data. Okay, now let's move on to the demo. So we can maybe explore the different options here, the three includes types. So let's move on to that. So as a first step, we need to install this module, Sling Dynamic Include bundle. So that can be downloaded from here, like sling.apache.org, downloads.cgi. There is a module dynamic include. So you can download this. So I already downloaded and installed through this bundle. Apache Sling Dynamic Include is the model. This is active state. Ensure that this is in active state. Okay, now we need to have a dynamic component. So my case, I am going to have a dynamic component that is going to display my logged in user ID. So I created a small component called dynamic data. So just a .html file here. So what I am doing is I am going to print this or display this current session.user ID. So whoever logged in, their name will be displayed in the browser. So then I included this into my page, we retail en page, so that I will be seeing that logged in user, the detail there. Maybe I'll show you in the next step. Okay, so this fine, like this is a very simple scenario, but it can be for any dynamic data scenario. You can utilize it. Okay, now we need to do some configuration in the dispatcher. So as a first step, we need to enable this module, the include module. So then we need to add this below configuration, Apollo symlinks includes. Then we need to enable this output filter includes.html. So it will process the .html file and look for any includes enabled already. So if so, like it will do the subsequent request and replace the original content. So also, like we need to disable the cache for the no cache filter. So by default, the HTML will be cached from dispatcher perspective, the publisher perspective, the end user websites. So we need to disable the caching for this no cache, no cache selector. Okay, maybe quickly we can see those configuration, then we can move on. So it's very simple. Like this is under this cache section rules. Under cache, under slash cache slash rules. So you added a additional rule, slash globe star dot no cache dot html star. I'm denying the cache. So now then I enable the module in httpd-conf. So mod include.so. So this is fine. Now the next step is, I have a virtual host configured. So now here what I am doing is I'm just added this one line index follow symlinks includes. Then I added this also, added output filter includes.html. Maybe I did not shown this one more configuration. I added this line also, add output filter by type includes. These both are same, but in some cases if it is not able to identify this with the extension, so that you can say this also. So both will do the same purpose. Okay, so this concludes the dispatcher configurations. Now we need to go back to AEM, and we need to do some configurations in the OSA console. So when you deploy that particular bundle, this OSA configuration will be enabled. You need to add one new configuration here plus, then you need to enable the required values. So first we need to select this enabled equal to true, the checkbox. Then base path regular expression. So means like SDI, the module will scan through the content and enable the placeholder or the include. So we need to say like which path it should be. Like I am saying from slash content. Even we can restrict saying only you look for this specific path. So anything based on our requirement we can set it. Then the resource type of the components, like what components resource type it is considered as a dynamic data, or it should be replaced with includes by the STI. So my case, the resource path of this component is obviously we retail components content dynamic data. So I configured that. So my dynamic data. Then include type. So let me first start with the JavaScript. So as I already explained, JavaScript means the browser is going to do a subsequent call and get the original data through Ajax call. So this fine. If you want, you can enable this add command. It will add some additional command to that. Then filter selector. So you can change it if you require, but I am going with the no cache. Then extension component TTL. This is again the mandatory. So the request passing through the dispatcher only enabled with this SDI. So SDI will work only for the request with given header. It means this header will be added by the dispatcher. So the request passing through the dispatcher, so this behavior will be enabled. Now include path rewriting. If you want, you can select it. What does that mean is like SDI will honor the etc map or the resource resolver mapping. So append suffix to dynamic includes. These are all the configuration we can enable. So I'm just in now. I kept the include type as JavaScript. Let us go and see what is the behavior. I'm just saving this. Okay, meanwhile let me clear the cache of the dispatcher cache. So yeah, I'm going to do a complete cache clearing. Okay, let me access the page now. Maybe I will go to incognito window, localhost 8080. Okay, okay, now if I come, yeah, if you see here, I'm seeing the user ID as anonymous because I did not logged in. So now what I will do is, let me go to, yeah, the cache folder, go into the content, we retail us, then en.html, just to search for include maybe dynamic data. Yeah, so if you see your dynamic data, this enabled with some JavaScript. So this JavaScript will do Ajax call to get the original data. So the browser will do a subsequent call to get the data. Now if I go to the browser and again show you that, if I go to XHR and see no cache, yeah, so you see there is a subsequent call from the browser to get the dynamic data. Okay, let me now log into publisher with admin credential. So localhost 4503. Okay, now let me go back here. Yeah, if you see now I am able to see the user as admin. So but if I go to different browser, maybe if I am not logged in, at the same time I will be seeing different. Yeah, here maybe, yeah, here admin, because I already logged in, maybe I can log out this. Okay, yeah, it's anonymous. Yeah, it's working as expected. So here the browser is replacing the include or the placeholder. The JavaScript include has some disadvantages. One is the SEO issue will be there. The second one is obviously the performance. So the browser has to do a subsequent call to get the original data. So also another thing is, like, it is based out of the JavaScript. If some browser is not supporting the JavaScript or any issue with the JavaScript, the dynamic data will not be loaded. The JavaScript include will give better caching performance from all the layer, as the dynamic data is loaded through Ajax call after the initial load from the browser. Okay, now let's see the next option, the SSI, server side include. So what I will do is I will again go and change the option here. I need to log in. Okay, now I'm going to change this to Apache SSI. Okay, it's done. So now what I will do is, let me close this window. Okay, let me now access the page. Okay, let me go and find it. Yeah, it's looking anonymous. Now if I go to the view page, view page shows here. So let me search with the dynamic data. Yeah, if you see here, the data is already replaced. There is no subsequent call. So but if I go to the cache, okay, en.html, edit it. Now if you see here, the placeholder is include. So include virtual the dynamic data path. So whenever we request a content or the page, Apache will do a subsequent call and replace this placeholder with the original content. So the browser will always have the original the content, the static and dynamic content together. Okay, now this looking fine. So let me go down. Yeah, if you see here admin, so in another browser you were seeing anonymous. Okay, this looking fine. The SSA option will provide better performance compared with JavaScript and ESI. Let us go to the next option. So next one is edge site include. So again I will go here. Let me change this to ESI. In this option, the edge server is going to replace the dynamic data. Let me access the page through dispatcher first. Here you will not see the data, but if you go to the cache, if you see the source and go to, if you see here it is a ESI include. Earlier it was include, now it's a ESI colon include. So the Apache or the dispatcher won't understand this, so that's the reason you are not seeing when I'm accessing through the dispatcher. So that's the reason if you go to the view source, you will see the same content there also. So if you see here it is ESI include, so it means this not processed, the placeholder is not processed because I am not accessing via any edge server. Okay, now let's see like how to access through edge server. So for that I will show the demo for Cloudflare, because as I already told, Akamai can do it default, but I am not able to show the demo. CloudFront, again we can do the same approach here. Like here I am going to create a worker, but there maybe we need to do through the Lambda edge function. So here I already configured a domain called demo.albinsblog.com. So now what I did is I created a worker. So you can create a worker and assign that worker to a root. So I followed this particular blog to enable that. So this includes some script, but some of the scenario was not working if I use this script directly. So one is this our scenario, we need the subsequent request should be having the cookie value. So then otherwise it will always shows anonymous. So for that I need to do some modification. So the second thing is like this script was not considering the host name and port name for the subsequent request. Due to that it was failing for me. So then I did some modification. Maybe I will post this modified script into a repository and give the URL in the description. Anybody want, they can use it, the updated one. Okay, so what I did is like I went to this maybe launch editor. You can ESI handler. I created a ESI handler. So this is the handler. In the default script I did some modification, like one or two modifications I can show you is, one is like here I am forming this no cache URL. So earlier they were using only the target, so due to that it was not working. The second thing is like this headers were not passed from the request, so due to that always it was showing as anonymous. So what I did is like now I did some modification to include this request headers. So now once that is done, now what we need to do is go back here to the script. You can test the script here. So one second, here go and add a root. I already added the root. What I'm saying is any request with this pattern https demo albinsblog.com content we retail us en star assign this worker, the ESI handler, so that it will manipulate or it will go through the request response data, and if there is any ESI placeholder it will replace that with the original data. Okay, now let us test it. So I will go with, I'll close this and maybe let me clear the cache here once to ensure it's not creating any problem. Okay, now I will go demo.albinsblog. Okay, let me Yeah, if you see here, it is now anonymous. So it means the ESI, the CDN or the Cloudflare is replacing the placeholder with the ESI colon include the placeholder with the original data by doing a subsequent request to the origin server. Okay, now let me do a maybe a logged in. I could have already logged in from here. Let me show you that. I hope I would have logged in already. Yeah, if you see, I am already logged in with the admin server. So admin user, so through this the login button. So I am seeing a admin. So yeah, in this window I am seeing anonymous. So if you refresh again, you will see the anonymous. So here you are seeing a admin user. Okay, so same thing, like maybe if possible I will show the demo on Akamai, as I am trying for that. Maybe CloudFront also. ESI option will have some performance impact compared with SSI, but this will give better caching performance compared to SSI, as a static part of the page can be cached in CDN. This concludes the demo. What we did is, like, we enabled the STI in AEM server, and we did some configuration changes in dispatcher also. So then we tested the JavaScript include, and then Apache SSI, then ESI include. In all the three scenarios, dispatcher cached the content by enabling the placeholder. So if you see here, all the en.html, whatever the page we were accessing, the complete page is cached here. So maybe last scenario what we have seen is the ESI. So all the static data is cached, so only for the dynamic data, so the include is enabled, and the include is replaced either by browser in case of JavaScript include, or by the Apache in case of SSI include, or by the Edge server for the ESI include. Thanks all for watching the video. See you in the next video.